Hello, I'm Vanja Gröger, also known as Nechtan, and in this video I will talk about the brand new Zultan Impulz Cymbal Set. Have fun and enjoy! Before we start, let me clear this up. This video is not actually a commercial in that sense, but more of a review. I'm endorsed by Zultan Cymbals and they sent me this set to make a video on it, but they pretty much said, yeah, do whatever kind of video you want. And since I don't like commercials and think that actual reviews are much more informative, this is what I will be doing here. So let us begin. Before I talk about the actual sound of these cymbals, I would like to mention two things. The first is that these cymbals come at a very affordable price, and the second is that these cymbals are made of B20 bronze, which in itself is kind of a rare combination, B20 bronze and affordable price. In case you don't know what that means, cymbals are usually made out of bronze, which is a mix of tin and copper, and there are kind of two very common mixes of these two materials, and that is B8 bronze with 8% tin and B20 bronze with 20% tin. And well, of course there are always exceptions to that, but in general most high-priced cymbals are made of B20 bronze and most cheap cymbals are made of B8 bronze. And although some drummers like to debate about the topic if they like B8 or B20 more, well, of course, that depends on the individual cymbals, but I think in general we can say that the average B20 cymbal sounds better than the average B8 cymbal. And also B20 is kind of more expensive to produce. And this is why I said this is a kind of rare combination, because usually B20 cymbals are more expensive and cheap cymbals are made of B8. But as I said, these are very affordable and B20. First of all, in this set we have a 14-inch hi-hat, 16-inch crash and a 20-inch ride cymbal. So, first, the hi-hat. When I play it like in this closed state, it actually sounds, well, it's hard to describe. I would say it sounds remarkably unremarkable because it doesn't have any kind of sound characteristic that really stands out. And when we think about that, this cymbal set is supposed to be a kind of good all-rounder for all kinds of different styles, I think this is actually very good because this hi-hat will not sound out of place no matter what style you play. If I would have to characterize the sound of the closed hi-hat anyway, I would say it's kind of not too hard and not too soft, kind of a good middle ground, I would say. And most importantly, it doesn't sound trashy in any way. And this is very remarkable when we regard the price of the cymbal set. One thing I was really surprised about was when I opened up this hi-hat, because the half-open sound, which is very important to me as a metal drummer because I use a lot of double bass and then the hi-hat usually is like in a half-open state. The half-open state of this hi-hat actually sounds really awesome. I was really surprised by that. Also, the Impulz hi-hat has a very decent volume when you play it like half open, so I think this works really well with heavier music like rock, heavy metal and extreme metal of course. So all in all, I would say that this hi-hat has a very decent and well-rounded all-round sound. Next, let us talk about the ride cymbal. Well, if I should pick kind of a weak spot in this cymbal set, it would probably be the right cymbal for me personally, because, well, I think I have a kind of specialized taste when it comes to right cymbals. I like to play a lot of blast beats, and for the blast beats I like to have a very loud ping, a very clear attack. And well, this cymbal here is a bit different, because it sounds much more soft. So if I would want to buy a right cymbal that is like specialized on super fast blast beats, it would probably not be this one. But I have to admit that as an all-round right cymbal, this actually does a very decent job, because it is soft and warm enough that I think it wouldn't sound out of place with a soft swing or something. And at the same time, you actually can play blast beats on this right cymbal without the blast beats sounding dumb. So it actually still works with blast beats. So again, I think this is a solid all-round right cymbal, maybe with a slight nudge towards a more gentler and warmer sound. Last but not least, let us talk about the crash cymbal. Well, I think the crash cymbal was the biggest surprise for me personally when I tested this cymbal set, because, well, in my experience, cheap crash cymbals always sound, well, not good, to say the least. And because I knew that this cymbal set would be available for a very affordable price, I was kind of skeptic about the crash cymbal especially. But to my great surprise, it actually sounds very decent. It is a bit louder and also a bit more bright than the heritage cymbals that I usually use, but it actually does a very good job in sounding decent. Again, I think this cymbal has a very good kind of all-round sound, although because it is maybe a bit more bright and loud than your average cymbal, I would think that this is very well suited for more heavy music, where it needs to go up against like electric guitars, etc. So if you are playing like rock, metal, etc., this cymbal works really well. One more thing I would like to mention about this crash cymbal is that I think it can be very well combined with other cymbal sets, even with more expensive ones, without sticking out too much and without sounding bad. Because, well, first of all, it lacks this kind of trashiness you often hear when hitting a cheap cymbal, and second, because it has a kind of well-rounded sound, it just easily fits in. I can very well imagine that the Impulse Crash would actually sound very good when combined with like CS or Q series crashes, and probably also the Rockbeat series. But with my heritage crashes, it doesn't work that well, because the heritages actually have a lower volume, and also sound more dark and warm and not as bright. And I think there it would stick out too much. But with the other series, I think this would sound absolutely fine. Before I come to my final conclusions here, I think it is important to talk about what the cymbal set actually aims at. I think Zultan didn't want to make like the cheapest cymbals possible, because, well, there are obviously cheaper cymbals out there. But also Zultan didn't want to make like the best sounding cymbals possible, because, well, you would have to spend way more money for that. So I think these cymbals are meant to be like exactly at the point where you have still very decent sounding cymbal set, but also at a price that is as affordable as possible. And at this, I just have to say, Zultan absolutely nailed it. So my overall conclusion is this. In general, this is a very versatile cymbal set that, well, I think it's like one of its greatest strengths, that it just doesn't sound out of place no matter what kind of style you play. Well, of course, at the extreme edges of like super extreme blast beats or very soft jazz, it probably doesn't work that well, but in anything in between, it just doesn't sound out of place. And the second big strength is the low price. The biggest weakness of the cymbal set is, in my opinion, the lack of specialization. It is kind of the same as the strength of versatility, because each of these cymbals are very good at being decent at a wide variety of styles, but they are not good at being excellent at one particular style. So yeah, this is kind of a strength and a weakness at the same time. So in the end, the question is, do I recommend to buy these or not? Well, I think that really depends on what you want. If you are a professional drummer who already knows exactly how he or she wants his or her cymbals to sound, then you probably won't be super happy with this set. But if you are a beginner or intermediate drummer and you want to save money and still want to have a decent and very good all-round cymbal set, I think there's almost like no better choice than this. During this review, I often said that these cymbals do not really stand out in one particular regard, but in the end I have to say the one thing that these cymbals really stand out at is kind of the relation between the quality and the price. From what I have seen, Zultan is already really good at making very good cymbals very affordable. But this really takes it to a whole new level because, well, these cymbals are only available as a set. You cannot buy the single pieces, you can only buy the whole set. And the reason for that is that this way they could lower the price even more. So these cymbals are actually much cheaper than they normally would be. And that, combined with the versatility of the cymbal set and the fact that you can easily combine them with even more expensive cymbals, that makes the set an excellent choice, especially for beginners and intermediate drummers who want to have decent sounding cymbals without draining their wallets. With these cymbals, you kind of keep all options open. You can replace single cymbals or add other cymbals and the rest will still not become obsolete. And well, that are my thoughts on the new Zultan Impulz Cymbal Set. Big thanks to Zultan for sending me the cymbals, because it was really fun to make this review and to test them, and I think I will actually use them in the next drum cover that I will be doing, so stay tuned. If you want to check out the cymbal set, the link is right down below in the description. In case you do not know that yet, I also have an online drum school where you can learn all about extreme metal drumming, especially blast beats and double bass. The link is up here or also down below in the description. Thanks for watching, and before we end the video here, let's have some more fun. See you next time.